Hello, my name is Ed Patterson, Edwin to my friends. I appreciate you joining me today. We are on the 5th of our second 20 in our Book of Mormon vocabulary test. It's been amazing so far. So we've gone through 24 words. Some are stunning, some are interesting, but they all go to bear on this thought. Could Joseph have known these words if he wrote the Book of Mormon, as the antis claim? And today, in 2024, Joseph is the only candidate. So to write or produce out of his mind the Book of Mormon, he would have to know every word in it. And just as a reminder, there's 269,510 words, about 5,400 unique words that had to come from Joseph. We've looked at some humdingers in my mind. So let me just give you a couple just to remember back. To start with, we have garners, which is a very unique word used only once. All these words are used only once in the Book of Mormon. Sojourn, interesting the way it's used. Rested, very difficult word to get your hand around on the way it's used in the Book of Mormon. Appellation, my favorite word in all of the Book of Mormon, single words. Very unique, used once, very special. Gainsaying, peradventure. I go on, and I will go on and on. And the question you should ask yourselves, whether you're good members of the church, whether you're saints on the move out of the church, whether you're Christians thinking about, trying to show perhaps that the Book of Mormon is false. How could Joseph know these words? How could he produce the words? Only once in the Book of Mormon. Often, there are 30 of my 60 words in this test that are found nowhere else, not in the Bible, not in Doctrine and Covenants, not in Pearl of Great Price. So Joseph would have to know the word from somewhere. Now the antis, bless their hearts, will say, oh, well, here's a book. The words you're using are in the book. One brother did this in my comments. We've been through 15 words. We have 45 more words to go through, plus another 60 after that. Let him bring the book forward then, and show me an asterisk. Where does it show that Joseph had the book? He read the book, studied the book. He can't do that. All they're interested in is tearing down. I don't understand the desire, but man, it is there. And it doesn't matter what is said, they'll deny it. They have to. But as we go on and on, you brothers and sisters who are members of the church, you will see again and again and again and again that Joseph Smith could not have produced the Book of Mormon out of his own mind in 57 days, which is about 10 pages a day in the first Book of Mormon produced in March 26th of 1830. There are 588 pages. If you had 57 days to produce that, it's about 10 pages every day. Show me any person, antis, bring forward your champion, who can produce out of their own mind 10 pages of scripture a day with no contradictions, using words that are extremely difficult to use. No time to consult anything. It's coming out. 10 pages a day. That's a lot of words, a lot of doctrine, a lot of thought, a lot of story coming out at a very fast pace. Okay, that's the set. It's always the set. And in the words themselves, do I know which ones Joseph knew or did not know? I don't know. I did not know Joseph. But what I do know is the preponderance of evidence after 60 and after 120 will show there is no way that Joseph Smith could have been the candidate to produce the Book of Mormon based upon the words that are in it. So you keep that in mind. We'll just keep on plugging along here. We're, again, 25 now of 60 of 120. So a lot of words are going to come. Bless you who are hanging in with me. I appreciate that. The word this time, the 25th word, the fifth of the next 20, is civil. Civil. Now we go into a whole different realm, and the realm is this. Civil has 13 definitions in the 1828 dictionary, the American Dictionary of the English Language. 13. And generally, often, the definitions are put in order of use. So the most used definition of civil is number 1. The least used is 13. Now what we're going to find more and more as we get deeper into these words is the definitions go down. They're not the first, they're the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. I'm going to have a section to show words used only once with definitions of 7, 8, 9, 10 definition. Well, Joseph just knew those, say the antis. No sweat. But I'm telling you, you'll see amazement coming. We've seen some really good things so far, but it gets harder and harder for the antis to keep saying Joseph could have done this. My contention from the very first is I will prove that he could not have been the one who authored the Book of Mormon. Okay, so now we know that we have been through a lot. We're going to get down to civil. I'm going to read just of the 13 definitions, I'm going to read 5 of them just to give you an idea what do those different definitions look like. And the reason I'm doing that is because the antis say, oh, he would know all those definitions. He could use any one he wanted. Showing asterisk anywhere where he had the learning and the vocabulary skills to do that. I'm excited to see it. I don't believe it exists. Okay, so the 5 definitions I'm going to read. These are 1 through 5 definitions. Number 1, relating to the community or to the policy of government of citizens and subjects of a state. Okay. So that's how civil is used mostly in 1828 when the dictionary is published. Number 2, relating to any man as a member of the community. Okay, that's kind of an interesting one. Number 3, reduced to order, rule, and government. Okay. Number 4, civilized, courteous, gentle, obliging, well-bred, affable. And number 5, grave, sober, not gay, or showy. Now, there are another 8 behind that I'm not even reading. The definition for this use is right in one of those 5. So we're going to go through them. First of all, let me show you the statistics here. So 93% of my people spelled civil right, as they should. It should be 100%, but life's beautiful. 44% got the definition right, which is pretty good. But notice at the bottom down here, civil's not found in the Bible. So Joseph couldn't have got it there. Where would he get this definition and use that's used only 1 time in the Book of Mormon? None in the Bible. 4 times in the Doctrine and Covenants. Interesting. Okay, so now that we know that, let's go to the context. What's happening to have this word be used? So the doctrine that we're going to read is from Moroni 9. This is a letter from Mormon to Moroni, and it is a sad, sad letter. What he's recounting is both sides, Lamanite and Nephite, are getting worse and worse in their behaviors in this war, more animalistic. The Lamanites are killing, first of all, capturing families, men, women, and children. They're killing the men and feeding their flesh to the women and children. Today we think, that's disgusting. Does that really happen? Could it have happened? And yet we see throughout the history of the world that certainly has. Then he goes on. But the Nephites are even worse. How is that possible? So we'll start reading there, And we're going to find civil in among all those informational items. Okay, so I'm in Moroni 9, verse 9 and 10. That's where we're going to find civil. For behold, many of the daughters of the Lamanites have they taken prisoners. And after depriving them of that which is most dear and precious above all things, which is chastity and virtue, so they're raping them. This is the Nephites doing this. They do murder them in the most cruel manner, torturing their bodies even unto death. And after they had done this, they devour their flesh like wild beasts. Because of the hardness of their hearts, they do it as a token of bravery, which obviously is upside down. Verse 11, and now my beloved son, how can a people like this, that are without civilization, and only a few years have passed, and they were a civil and a delightsome people. So there's the civil. Now again, imagine what the Antis are giving credence to Joseph. He started preparing and writing the Book of Mormon when, 17, when he started talking about Moroni. That means he was thinking about it. He was telling stories to his family of the Nephites and the Lamanites. See, he's making this up already. He has 6 years to prepare to produce the Book of Mormon out of his mind. And yet in that 6 years, no one can come forward and say, well, he was studying this, with asterisks to a source at that time. The Antis make up a lot. Oh, he read the Bible, he did this, he did that, he went to the library, he had so many books he was studying, preparing. They can't provide asterisks because it doesn't exist. And then we have a very complicated, horrific description of Lamanites and Nephites at their worst. That's pretty bad. And yet he reflects back just a few years ago. These were civil people. So what definition do we have? Now the 5 I read, that's the 4th definition. And the Antis can say, oh, he knew all that stuff. What are you barking up that tree? Yet he had to know many, many definitions to get to the right one and use it only once in the entire Book of Mormon. Okay, let's take a look at it a little closer. So the definition is civilized, courteous, gentle, obliging, well-bred, and affable. That's what the Nephites used to be. Let's read it one more time. Carry it through. We are on verse 12 of Moroni 9, a letter from Mormon to Moroni. And only a few years have passed away, and they were a civil and delightsome people. Civilized, courteous, gentle, obliging, well-bred, and affable. And again, can you imagine Joseph just knowing that? It's almost humorous. In my opinion, Joseph could not have known words like this over and over and over again. And again, I have words over and over and over again to show you. And there are hundreds and hundreds of words I have chosen from. Joseph's education and his studying could not have borne what came from God or his mind in the Book of Mormon. You can choose. But for me, this is a great evidence of the proof that Joseph was not the author. God was the author. This is a true book. This is a book you can study and learn from over a lifetime because it is true. And if it is true, Joseph was a prophet, called of God in Christ to be their prophets. Can you imagine a young man given that responsibility, doing his best, going through all the hardship he went through. It is amazing to me. Well, thanks so much. I've gone on too long. Love you. Appreciate you following. Appreciate you being part of what we're doing. See you on down the road.